So, here's a popular question. Imagine yourself within a scenario where the dead rises and walk the earth. A zombie apocalypse. A nightmare for many, but a dream come true for some. But what would you do if you found yourself within an undead paradise? Today's tale of terror is a couple who have their own set of opinions of what makes zombies scary. A dysfunctional relationship that are at odds over something petty. The idea of fast zombies being scarier than the slow, shambly zombies you would see in a Romero film. Shinichi and Yumi are a loving couple who are the example of a toxic relationship, which may have started off with its romantic touch, some common interests, until the relationship quickly soured into a bickering couple who would rather waste their days fighting over trivial topics. But when Yumi had once again reached a breaking point, leaving the apartment after hearing Shinichi badmouthing her idol, George Romero, it wasn't no more than 2 minutes before she found herself coming back inside the apartment. Up against the door, holding her arm tightly which was bleeding, the shocked expression on her face. Some crazy person outside had just ran up to her and bitten her on the arm. And that was when there was pounding at the door. Yumi was now scared. When Shinichi went to the peephole to investigate, to his horror or surprise, he saw that there were zombies behind the front door, trying to get in. But according to Yumi, it couldn't be zombies. They were fast. And when Shinichi went to the window to see what the hell was going on outside, they were zombies all right, running after the people in the streets, tackling them down before consuming their flesh. So it's happening. According to the news, there is a zombie apocalypse. Thankfully, Shinichi had this day planned for years, and yet people thought he was crazy. He knew that it was just a matter of time before zombies will roam the earth, and thankfully, he's well stocked on supplies and goods. As for Yumi, however, well, because of how she was bitten, and knowing that if you are bitten by a zombie, certain precautions are needed to be taken into consideration, such as tying her up, just until Shinichi can be sure that Yumi is not infected. It was later that day before Yumi began to show physical changes. Her skin was now pale. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her expression was showing very little to no signs of life. Basically, Yumi was dying. And when Shinichi saw her collapse onto the floor, it was now obvious that Yumi had just passed away. Now, either it was because of boredom or a twisted curiosity with zombies, Shinichi spent that night setting up a camcorder, using his deceased girlfriend to document the stages of an infected person turning into a zombie. But with this unhealthy obsession with zombies and being confined within his apartment while the world outside descended into chaos, Shinichi decided to share the bed with his deceased girlfriend, his only companion within this apartment. After a night's rest, Shinichi was shocked when waking up to the results of his experiment. Yumi had not only transformed into a zombie, but she had tried reaching out to her boyfriend, trying to consume his flesh. Except, there was something different with Yumi. It was for certain that she was reanimated into a lifeless corpse, but she wasn't moving. Unlike the zombies outside, Yumi was frozen. With his knowledge and fascination with zombies, Shinichi was confused. But when looking at the camcorder and reviewing what happened last night, it was when Shinichi began fast-forwarding the video footage, watching Yumi coming back to life and making her way towards her sleeping boyfriend. Shinichi finally understood what was going on. Yumi was not only moving as a zombie, but she was moving very, very slowly. A new discovery that Shinichi found to be amusing, finding it comical that Yumi was far slower than Romero's zombies. Untying her and letting Yumi roam the apartment, knowing that she wasn't a threat because of how slow she moved. Shinichi just wasted his days observing Yumi, her behavior, teasing her out of amusement, and maybe it was because of isolation or his obsession with zombies. Shinichi had felt comfortable enough to sleep with Yumi, which was foolish and reckless when Shinichi woke up the following morning and found himself looking into Yumi's gaping mouth. Shinichi's carelessness had almost made him a victim to this zombie outbreak, a victim to a slow zombie. Weeks later, the world outside had went to hell. It was only a few days ago before Shinichi's supplies had run out. Now the man was suffering a fate worse than being infected. Starvation. Watching Yumi's rotting corpse roaming around the apartment, it took some time before Shinichi got used to the stench. But the fascination he had with zombies diminished. He couldn't even stand looking at Yumi. That decomposing face. How she would always be found slowly chasing him. It got annoying really fast. Yumi was nothing more but a living memento of Shinichi's love for zombies. But the hunger, the pain of his body craving for food, anything that will provide nourishment. Shinichi had not only eaten all the food, but anything and everything within the apartment that was considered edible. And when trying to fall asleep, hoping to ease the torturous effects of the hunger, Shinichi would wake from his slumber, seeing Yumi slowly making her way to him, trying to feast upon her dying boyfriend. But this time, Shinichi wasn't afraid. He just didn't care anymore. Maybe it was best for him to die by Yumi. The pain was too much. And that's when he told Yumi that he couldn't do it anymore, and just sat there and waited for his girlfriend to feast upon his flesh, to bring an end to this unbearable torment. So I guess she's a slow walker. That Yumi was not fast enough to beat Shinichi's hunger and his craving for food, which explains why he began feasting upon her flesh. Zombie flesh. And knowing that his feast would result with him being infected, Shinichi didn't care for the sickness that was overtaking him, his mind fading away, craving nothing more but the cannibalistic nourishments that his body was craving, not caring for the fact that he was transforming into a zombie because of how Yumi's flesh was satisfying that hunger, welcoming the rotting flesh, the blood running down his cheek and onto the carpet floor. And just as Shinichi had filled his insides with zombie meat, that was when he transformed into a zombie. But unlike Yumi, who was a slow walker, Shinichi was a runner, much faster than the zombies outside. It was within a blink of an eye before Shinichi left the apartment and joined the hellish world that awaited for him outside.